Hey guys, it's not actually Friday, I'm just making this video ahead of time. I do have a blog dedicated just to my writing, and I'm just going to read this one. It's called A Beautiful Thought, parentheses, Came to Mind, close parentheses. So, I hope you enjoy that. Don't get too smashed, my brother Briley said to me as he killed the engine. You're the one who's driving, I argued calmly as I pulled back my seatbelt. I know, but, he paused. I don't want you to get too drunk and do something you'll regret. I didn't look at him. I could never look at him when he got all I just care about you and want what's best for you on me. He sighed. He hated it when I avoided him. Just be careful, okay? He tried to reason. All right, I said with fake exasperation. I pushed the car door open and hopped out. Love you, he said quickly. Love you too, I said, shutting the door behind me. He parked the car and started walking 30 steps behind me. I entered the house without him and wouldn't see him again for the rest of the night. I walked in and the bass shook my eardrums fiercely. I ignored it and pressed through the people. I knew most of the kids that were there, but I didn't plan on talking to any of those people. I scanned the crowd for Elsie, my best friend, and found her dancing by herself with the beer can in her hand, having what appeared to be the best night of her life. I went towards her and started to dance with her. Some older guys yelled at us to grind, but we refused. We danced some more and she spun me around. She pulled me in and then spun me back out again. I had spun out all the way, then I came face to face with the one and only Indy Birmingham. He smirked at my surprised face, and I hope he couldn't tell I was blushing in the light. I'd had a small crush on him for 2 years. We'd talked before and were pretty well acquainted, but he'd probably never thought anything special of me. Elsie yanked me hard back towards her and laughed when I stumbled over to her. I gave her a mean look and fought the urge to look over my shoulder at Indy. I didn't want to be that stupid girl who turned around embarrassed and stared at them like an awkward loser. Still giggling, Elsie said, Hi, Indy. Hi, he said, casually, and then turned his attention on me. Every nerve in my body sharpened, and I felt like a dog perking their ears up attentively. He smiled at me and stepped towards me. He stepped so close to me we were less than an inch apart. My head was tilted back as I stared up at him with a small smile on my face. Hi, Amy, he said, in a flirty, confident tone. I could smell alcohol on his breath, but I didn't withdraw from him. Hi, I said, with as much confidence as I could muster and a sly smirk. I heard a rumor you think I'm... He rolled his eyes back and mimicked a little girl voice. Super cute! His face then returned to that confident smirk. Where'd you hear that? I said, smiling brightly as a silly joke. Is it true? He asked, ignoring my question on purpose. Maybe, I said, as a beautiful thought came to mind. I slipped to my right and took Elsie's hand in mine. So you're a lesbian now? He teased and turned to watch as we slow danced together. I looked over my shoulder and said, So you're desperate to be with me now? He only smiled in amusement. He watched us dance. We stopped after a little while because Elsie wanted to go get more beer, and then left me alone with Indy. I looked over and we locked eyes. I stepped towards him and whispered in his ear, Can you keep a secret? On my life, he promised. I leaned back into his ear. I want you, I whispered. He smirked at me and then said, I want you too. Tonight, I said quickly. He smirked even more now and then took my hand. I let him lead me across the room, down the hall, into a bedroom. He pulled me into the room after him and then shut the door behind us. The lights were off and I could just make out his eyes and his nose. He leaned up against me until I was backed up against the wall. To be honest, I'm a little drunk, he said softly. It's okay, I assured him. Have you done this before? He sounded much less confident and much more nervous. No, not really. Have you? I wasn't sure whether I wanted his answer to be a yes or a no. Yes, he said. I looked at him and said nothing. That probably was going to make him even more anxious, but I couldn't think of anything else to say. Instead, I stared at his lip and then wondered if he could even see what I was doing. What if I just stared at his lip and he never kissed me? On that, I decided I would kiss him, and I did. He kissed me back, and it felt good. His lips were soft and warm, and he kissed me very slowly. I let him use his tongue and expected some hardcore making out, but none came. He still kissed me very slowly and very softly, and I tasted the alcohol. He put his arms around my back and unzipped my dress. It fell silently to the floor, and I pulled his shirt up over him. I dropped it on the floor and breathed very deeply. He stared into my eyes, and I felt like he was looking into my thoughts. I let my mind go blank and put my hands over his shoulders. He put his hands on my waist and pulled me toward the bed. He turned me around and sat me down on the bed. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt, and I could hear my blood pulsing inside my head. I pulled myself further onto the bed and lay back as he crawled on top of me. He was breathing heavily, but not in an obnoxious or really quick kind of way. The rhythm of his breathing synced with mine, and he kissed me again. He pulled away and sat up right over me. He started to take off his belt and undo his pants. It was in this very moment that I realized how much I didn't want to have sex with him tonight. I knew I should say something before things got out of hand, and our moment was ruined. "Indy," I protested, putting my right hand over his hand that was over the zipper of his jeans. "I don't really want to have sex with you." I paused, and he stared at our hands. "Is that okay?" I asked him, and then felt stupid when I remembered it was obviously up to me. He stayed frozen, staring at his hands like that for a moment, and then said, "Okay." He looked at me to see my reaction, which was puzzled. I wasn't even sure why I was puzzled. "I wasn't leading you on," I started to explain. "I really do like you." "Shh," he whispered. He didn't mean for it to be, but it was very sexy. I watched as he stepped off the bed and got on his knees on the floor. He pulled my panties off and spread my legs. "Tell me when to stop." I let him pleasure me for 2 minutes before I asked him to stop. He pulled away and handed me my underwear before getting up. I put my panties back on and stood up too. I walked past him and pulled my dress back on. I reached my arm around my back and pulled the zipper back up. I could feel it as he took the zipper for me and pulled it up in one swift motion that made a satisfying zip. "Thanks," I said quietly. "No problem," he replied in a whisper and turned me back around. I stared up into his eyes seriously. He returned the look. He swiftly wrapped his arms around my shoulders and pulled me in close. He squeezed me tight. I put my arms under his arms and held his shoulders from behind. We stayed like this for a long time. Finally, he pulled away and started towards the door with one arm still around my shoulders. We walked down the hall together and back into the loud, bright room. We both winced at the volume and the atmosphere. He pulled his arm away, and I felt an urge to reach out and place his arm back around me. That soon subsided when I felt his hand brush down my palm, and soon after, his fingers laced together with mine. We danced through one song, and then he told me he was going home. He whispered in my ear not to tell anyone what we did, and then left. I watched as he walked out the front door of the house and stood there alone on the dance floor. "So what happened?" I heard Elsie say as she nudged my arm with her elbow. I did not meet her eyes, as mine were fixed on the door. "Nothing, really," I said casually, in what was almost a trance. So that was my story, A Beautiful Thought. I hope you liked it. I hope it wasn't too awkward. If you want more of that, you can go to my blog, which is originalstoriesandwhatnot.tumblr.com, and there's a lot more short stories that can also be very enjoyable and also very awkward. So, thanks for watching. Kate, you lucky bitch, going to the Star Kid tour. Amy, I really liked your story. Josanne, I would love to see your poem. I think I commented on your video and told you that. Anna, I'm sorry, I filmed this on a Wednesday, so I don't know what you're going to post tomorrow or what you have posted yesterday, but I bet it's going to be great, and I can't wait to see your video. Bye!